Shalom Yasha'Allah. First and foremost, I want to get all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, the bonus apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that's pushing the great gospel and sincerity and truth. This your brother Tazakai Yahweh from the Great Millstone, Indianapolis camp. Coming at you another lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. And Lord willing to be edified. Lord willing to be edified. It reads, Taiwan, from the Guardian.com, it reads China's drills near Taiwan, a warlike escalation from exercises last year. Biggest show of force since August was more targeted and showed intent to annex island, says analysis. And this article came out, came out Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, the hopeful year these prophecies are coming to pass. And it reads, China's recent military drills near Taiwan were substantive and warlike escalation on those conducted last August, despite not including any missile launches, some analysis have said. The drills were launched in retaliation to Taiwan's president, Tsai Ing-wen, traveling to the U.S. and meeting the U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Beijing, which claims Taiwan as a province despite that being rejected by its government and people, declared the meeting a provocation by Taiwan separatists enabled by the U.S. Shortly after Tsai landed in Taipei, Beijing announced the almost immediate start of three-day military drills. The People's Liberation Army, or PLA, and Chinese state media described them as practicing encirclement of the island and pre-invasion attacks. They carry out drills or simulated direct strikes on Taiwan from the sea, air, and China's mainland, and conducted multiple incursions over the median line, the de facto border on the international waters of the Taiwan Strait. Reuters reported a standoff of 10 ships from each navy at the line. It was the largest show of force since the drills launched in response to McCarthy's predecessor, Nancy Pelosi, visiting Taipei in August. Those exercises, which took place over 8 days, included 8 missiles fired over Taiwan into the sea and blockade-style tactics that disrupted air and sea traffic. And also, around that time period, too, North Korea was shooting their missiles over Taiwan as well in the waters. And we know how, say that, North Korea and China are, allied up, so just to add that in there. But some military analysts have said that this weekend's drills were more specific about China's intent to annex Taiwan, demonstrative of a pre-invasion attack, and raised the risk of miscalculation and escalation. So what we got going on really, essentially, it's like a situation that's going on in Russia and Ukraine, like pretty much, we all know the history that, Ukraine really, pretty much used to be Russia, in the USSR, so to speak. That's why they, what they did, they had annexed Crimea, which is in Ukraine, so forth and so on. So pretty much just like how China, how China sees Taiwan belonging to them, that's how Russia sees Ukraine belonging to them, technically. So the same thing that we're seeing going on in both regions, just something to, point out there. It's like the same situation now, although they're, Russia has, they're currently in conflict, so to speak, with Ukraine. This right here hasn't hasn't full blown, hit it off yet, so to speak, with Taiwan and China, but it's definitely something to keep your eyes upon. And also, it ultimately goes into, the prophecies of Yahweh Shem Shai, which we'll get, willing after this article. It say, the PLA are getting less loud and more muscular in the way they shape their signaling, said Alessio Patalano, professor of war and strategy in East Asia at King's College London. A big show of force raises the tolerance of what is normal to accept in the military sense, but specific tailored activity is indicative of clear intent, and that's the more troubling. These ones, smaller though they were, reflected a specific configuration that more clearly identifies steps just short of an invasion of Taiwan, right? And it shows the incursion, since 2021 up until 2023, right? Let's say 91 flights. So that's, going back to April 11th, it could be more now. Let's say on Monday, before the drills had finished, Taiwan's foreign minister Joseph Wu told Bloomberg he believed they were similar in intensity. A former legislator turned commentator, Guo Zhangliang, told local media that the drills may not be as obvious as last August, but seem closer to the actual state of war. So other Taiwanese Military figures and analysis pointing to the development of a Shandong aircraft carrier as cause for concern. Chang Yingting, a retired Air Force Lieutenant General, told CNA, the eastern waters were now clearly under serious threat. From Saturday morning until Monday evening, the PLA sent 232 warplanes towards and around Taiwan inside its air defense identification zone, or the ADIZ. It is a large area far beyond sovereign territory, monitored for defense purposes. This compared with 167 during the Pelosi drills, although higher activity was recorded for days before and afterwards and set a new normal for the months to come. There was a huge diversity among the aircraft reported inside the ADIZ this time, and Monday's cohort included 13 different types, including 5 models of fighter jets, a reconnaissance drone, transport planes, nuclear-capable bombers, and refueling aircraft. So, hey, man, China over here, flexing their muscle. And pretty much what they're showing them, man, if they, they showing them, like, man, how it's going to be if y'all really want to go at it. And we know, China, head-to-head with Taiwan, that's a no contest. Full-on breakout. But, hey, nonetheless, it says, the aircraft carrier Shandong, which led drills in the Western Pacific Ocean for the first time, launched J-15 fighter jets towards Taiwan hundreds of times to simulate direct strikes on the island. Open source information has suggested many of the ships this weekend sailed inside Taiwan's 24 nautical mile contiguous zone, where they were confronted by Taiwan's Navy but did not enter its sovereign waters. The movements of the Shandong-led carrier strike group first seen sailing past southern Taiwan on Thursday, in hindsight and clearly an early clue of the drills to come, drew in other international parties. Japan confirmed it had scrambled its Air Force in response, and the U.S. Nimitz aircraft carrier stayed in the region. Blake Herzinger, a research fellow at the USSC Foreign Policy and Defense Program, noted that no more than 12 ships were reported by Taiwan in the ADIZ on any one day, and a real encirclement contingency would probably see 20 times that. He also said the several hundred fighter jet takeoffs from the Shandong over 3 days revealed a big advancement for the PLA from even 5 years ago, but was still fewer than a U.S. carrier could do in a day. But what we saw is a bit more realistic, comprehensive, pulling together more capabilities and highlighting some things they might intend to do in a blockade or an invasion, Herzinger said. He said, I thought the inspection mission was more significant in my mind, he said, referring to a 3-day patrol mission announced by Chinese maritime authorities prior to the drills. China's Coast Guard claimed the right to board and inspect all vessels in the Taiwan Strait. Taipei ordered Taiwanese vessels to refuse, and observers warned any attempt could see worrying escalation. That mission was a cleverer move if we expect them to continue to try to erode Taiwan to what Taiwan is, asserting their ability to control maritime traffic, much like they do in the South China Sea. Herringer said he expected to see it again to the extent China thinks they can get away with it, but noting Taiwan's ferocious pushback, that, yes, like it. But this is that sets up a scary confrontation. Then when you got these, EU speaking like, they just speak madness, like I said, because like I said, put China and Taiwan head to head against each other with no allies included. What's gonna happen? They put up a fight, but whatever. Say the full picture of these exercises isn't clear. The PLA does not release details beyond its propaganda videos and state media articles. Japan only reports movements that have implications for its country, and Taiwan's defense ministry data only covers that it is likely not capturing all the J-15s launched from outside it and lacks clarity. Taiwan's defense ministry altered the way it reported ADIZ detections during the August 2022 drills. Since Taiwan's reporting mechanisms was changed, the daily reports now are sometimes ambiguous on whether aircraft crossed the median line or if they were just detected in an area of the ADIZ to its east. The ministry did not respond to requests for further clarifications. Monday's data suggested that the day had seen one of the highest numbers of PLA planes sent towards Taiwan in years, perhaps the highest. But the way detections are reported makes it impossible to be sure. Taiwan also does not give embarkation data for the PLA Navy vessels, unlike Japan's ministry. Some analysts have expressed concerns that without clear data, they cannot fully assess changes to PLA's level of aggression. Crossings of the median line have long been considered significant. Beijing tactically respected the line until September 2020, and it's used to reserve crossings for it when one to significantly respond to something it considered as an act of provocation. After the August drills, crossings became much more common. Herzinger said it was important to keep an eye on the PLA's attempt to normalize median line crosses and enroll these things that traditionally keep the two sides apart or made miscalculations less likely. Patalano said that for all the questions, the weekend's drills were clearly more specific and targeted. They didn't indicate China was ready to invade. An external assessment don't believe that they are yet, but they did send a strong message. I do think they're reaching a level of confidence whereby they think they are within grasp, if they need to do so, of biting pieces of Taiwan. And that's all on that. Now says more on the story. Taiwan Foreign Minister warns of conflict with China in 2027. How the hell you know? China likely to rapidly achieve air superiority over. Well, no shit. I mean, so there's just more stuff on that, but that's like I said, just something interesting as far as because we understand, man. We are in the end of the end, and our Lord and Savior spoke of these things when the disciples came to him. Seeing ultimately asking when the end gonna be, when shall the end come. Yahweh Hamashiach gave them clues as far as what to look for, what to see, but he don't know the time, the day, nor hour, like none of us. Only Yahweh Hamashiach does. So this is one of those indicators, and you see, like right here, they say, "Is China preparing to invade Taiwan?" It was another article. Man, I don't know if it was like the end time headlines or something, but it showed saying Taiwan is preparing for an invasion from China. So as we can see right now, that could be considered a rumor of war. As the scripture said that, our Lord and Savior said what will happen before the end come, which this is Mark chapter 13, verse 7. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of war, right? See, this is a war. This is a rumor of war, the Taiwan and the China thing. You got the Russia-Ukraine thing that we consider the, war for whatever that is. But there's other proxy wars, other tensions going on, that's going on right now, in real time. You can just look it up and just type in ongoing wars and you'll see a list of them. These are part of the prophecies of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Now we know it's going to lead up to that third world war, that's going to be the end all be all, so to speak. But there's going to be a build up until that point. So these small little skirmishes, these little tensions and all this and that, these are part of those wars. We'll hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? And they say, and when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled. So when you hear about war, a war or a rumor of it, be not troubled. Why? For such things must need be. So these things must come to pass. These things must happen before we are to enter into the kingdom. We are to receive salvation if we be of the hopeful elect. These things must happen for a righteous kingdom to be instituted in the earth, under Yahweh Bashim Abashai. But, like I said, but again, like it's saying, these terrible, perilous, horrible things must happen first, right? They say, for such things need be, but the end shall not be yet. So even when you see such things come to pass, we those who are, in tune, man, we know the end is not yet. We know that third world war, that's when it's going to be the end. But something like this, we know this is not the end, but it's a provocation. It also is a rumor of war that could escalate into a war. It can, right? But we know the end all be all, right? They say, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. These are two nations rising against each other, right? You got, like I said, with the Russia-Ukraine thing, Iran against Israel, then these other groups like Hezbollah, Hamas against the state of Israel, so forth and so on. These nations and kingdoms are against each other, and also even kingdoms who are considered allies. They're not seeing eye to eye in a sense. So on some things, they are against each other, right? Even within the people, the citizens. They say, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, which is ongoing right now. Earthquakes, just all types of crazy places that they never really have been, if you got like an earthquake meter app, and saying there shall be famines and troubles, right? Famines is coming, troubles, pestilences, all these things are coming, But it say what? And it says what? These are the beginning of sorrows. So all these perilous things, all these sorrowful things are what? Are part of the prophecies of Yahweh Shem Shai. So they must come to pass. Right? It says, go here in Second Esdras, right? It says what? Second Esdras chapter 16, verse 18, just gets to the point. It say the beginning of sorrows, right? We read that these are the beginning of sorrows, right? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. The beginning of famine and great death. And great death definitely will be accompanied with these wars that's going on. And all the famines and all the pestilence as well that Yahweh Shem Shai sent to the earth. They say what? The beginning of what? Wars. So wars is part of what? The prophecies of Yahweh Shem Shai. They say, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils come? So we understand, man, hey, war is part of the Lord's prophecies. It's a part of his will. It ain't, they just got mad at each other, just they shot each other and war broke out. No, this is part of the Lord's will, that he's stirring things up in the earth. So this is not going to be the only thing that, like I said, right now, this is like a provocation. It's just a, whatever they want to call it, but it can lead to that. But any war that's going on right now or it's going to break out, it'll all come through the will of Yahweh Shem Shai. So, just to put that, and I'm going to get this is my last one, just to put this in the mind of the people. This is what the Lord said, right? Joel chapter 3, verse 9, he said, what? Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. So, proclaim ye this amongst these heathens. Prepare war. Prepare yourself for war. A war is inevitable, which we're talking about that third war is woe, right? But even war that's going on in between these countries, or what may pop off. But we understand that this is talking about that major one, right? Wake up the mighty man, right? Wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up, right? That's why you're hearing about drafts going on. That's why you're hearing about, more defense equipment being made, more offensive equipment being made. Trades going here, war games here, this or that, drills, exercises, all this and that. That's why all these things are going on, just because the Lord is putting that spirit of war in the atmosphere, right? It says, verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, right? Because it's not the time for you to be, there was a time period for you to be farmers, to be sculptors and potters and, do your, want to live your best life. It was a time to do that. But now there's a time for war. So it's time for you to get off your ass, so to speak, and get ready to fight. That's what the Spirit is saying. It's war. War is in the atmosphere, right? The Scripture said, well, there's a sound of battle in the land. So, hey, at the end of the day, man, like you said, man, prepare war, right? But like I said, it ain't the time to be about to go out to my farm and, pick my squash. And no, it's time to go pick up that AK-47 or whatever that is that you get, But it says, well, let the weak say I am strong. And the weak saying they are strong, we got strong military alliances. We got missile capability as well. We got this advanced technology. We got that. We got this. We got that. So the people who was weak at the point in time, hey, man, we strong now. We got what you got, Babylon, because that was the main bully around the world, So... And that's pretty much all I want to get on that. Like I said, man, prepare war. The time of war is here. So, hey, man, at the end of the day, when you see these things come to pass, you ought to rejoice. Lord, when we build the hopeful elect, because we understand that this is drawing nigh to the end of this wicked kingdom to be brought down. But even though this is a provocation of other nations, hey, it's still part of the Spirit of the Lord putting that warlike, atmosphere out in the earth, So... That's ultimately all I got on that. Just a little something that I seen on there that was interesting. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to sincere Akim, or the sincere brothers and sisters who are out there listening and teaching and preaching. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, the honor to our apostles and others, a great millstone who were well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that pushes the great gospel in sincerity and truth. Shalom, Yasha Allah, Abad, Babal.